What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Xfinity and Comcast. You can build your plan at Xfinity.com. Great offers where you can get 5-year price guarantees with no annual contract on internet. You can save 40% on streaming apps if you get Xfinity Xfinity cable. There's lots of great offers. For example, at Xfinity.com, our friends at Comcast. And we'll get in later to the most entertaining thing I saw this weekend, presented by Xfinity and Comcast. Jason, how you doing, brother? I felt all of Fred Human.
Hey, buddy, what's happening? You throw me off when you do that now.
What's that?
I'm used to you going like all the way to the music, and then you stop. You're like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" Like 15 seconds left of the thing. I got to stop it, go around, find a Solari bit. I did feel of all of Fred Human over the week with this hot heat wave, but man, you look good, dude.
Do
you
I?
Got a little base tan. I was worried about you. I'm like, dude, if he comes in with no, just super honky, like no tan whatsoever, because he's got to be a flannel guy to the end, I was going to be bummed. But you look good. You got a nice little base tan. Look, you were hitting the treadmill or hitting a beach or something like that.
I did enjoy
doing some walks on a beach.
The muskox flannel on some walks on the beach in Marquette. But
it was so funny because you posted the video of you sipping that cup of coffee or whatever, and 2 minutes later, Harry texts me and goes, "Is it always gray, like in Michigan? Like, what is that?" Like, no, Couch just loves that like gray lifestyle.
It's the perfect day.
Don't let him ruin Michigan for you. It's very, very beautiful here in the nice months. But yeah,
I was going to like we always talk about Chris Eastlick and the weather and meteorologists. And
don't bug him. Just look it up yourself.
No, here's the thing. Like,
hey, Chris, I need your help real quick.
I wonder if they even have meteorologists in Marquette. Like, it's a job that you cannot get it right. When we got up there, we were supposed to be there. Supposed to be 5 days of rain. It rained one morning. They got it wrong 4.5 out of the 5 days. But I think it's hard.
Not a good average.
It's not. You're on Lake Superior. There's all sorts of different things, but they're just dead wrong all the time, and so you really can't plan for it. So I mean, what's the point of?
But are they dead wrong
for
a reason? Because a lot of the apps that I use Weather Channel, AccuWeather, right, and a lot of them are wrong or they're different. Between the two apps, you'll get different readings, and I'm like, I know everybody's trying to get you to start up at like to pay $9.99 a month, but I'm not. Do we have to pay for weather? Like, I'm down to pay for certain apps, but. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not paying for a effing weather app, right? And I just think that's what they're doing. They give you kind of a shitty. How could you be so wrong on the weather then? I feel like I could just, we could just guess then. Anyway,
yeah, I just think it's hard with the Lake Superior. What are you going to do? It's
true.
It's because
I'm talking about for like weather reports. Like in Ovid or Gaylord, where we went to treetops, it was the same kind of thing. It was like, my friend Jordan was asking if we should like push it back a week because Father's Day weekend looked kind of bad, and By the way, I owe Jordan an apology. By the way, I didn't take one picture of him other than him peeing. He peed like 90 times while we golfed like 54 holes.
Hold on, you took a picture of him peeing, but no other
dude.
Pictures?
He peed the first 18. He peed like 6 times. I don't know what he had. Like he was drinking a couple high noons or something. But it was just fascinating. I was like, dude. So every time I turned around, I saw him peeing. I just took a picture. But then at the end, I realized he sent me pictures of me golfing. But I didn't. I said I had 5 to 6 pictures of him just peeing, and then didn't take one picture of him either golfing, us at the resort. I'm a terrible friend. Like, I'm bad at it. I need to be, because I'm used to, when I go places with T, she is in charge. She does the camera, the pictures, the selfies, all that stuff. I'm not a big, when you look this way.
So what did he want? Like a picture of him golfing?
He didn't ask for anything.
Yeah.
I just felt bad. He didn't say a word. I just was like, oh my God, because he sent me a couple pictures of me in action golfing. I didn't even think about it. Because in my defense, the last time we had golfed on a trip, we were in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he was telling me, not even with a camera, he was like, dude, don't look at me. Like, he didn't want me even looking at him. So I had that kind of in my head. He he's like expanded his game. He's a lot better than when we golfed in Green Bay. But anyway, sorry, dude. Sorry. My bro Jordan. It was a great, great trip up in Gaylord.
Jordan,
beautiful
if I had been there, you'd have panoramic photos of you. You'd have video. I mean, I just go.
Yeah,
all
but then
over
you'd be
it.
with Couch. So I mean, what's the trade-off? At least you had fun with me and didn't get any. Honestly, if you would have just said something, if you would have been like, "Bro, can you take a picture or two of me?" Absolutely, I would have been all over it.
It's like a documentary when I'm there. It's
Documentary.
A
lot of syllables in that word.
That is a story almost worth telling by Jason, but told anyway, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing with a summer menu that's out, which is just fantastic, by the way, and some additional things on happy hour, like Friday's happy hour gets happier, right? $3 select beers, $4 pours of wine and liquor mix drinks. Liquor mix drinks, are at $4, and they have all of their Midtown Midtown cocktails, $2 off. God bless Midtown Brewing Company.
Really
downtown
good
Lansing.
penis.
Yeah. I knew that word was going to bite me.
You sound like Chip Carey.
Yeah.
Oops.
This I think this would be a good show.
I hope so. We haven't been doing did a show for a week.
Yeah.
We've done a show.
We're going to do this week, and then we're off for 2 weeks, just so Dominic.
We're a little
gets
rusty.
angry. Yeah. This is the way it works in the summer a little bit. I think it's going to be good. There are a lot of the listener hot takes are there's a lot on one subject, and there's some other stuff too, but a lot of MSU football, some MSU basketball too. But I tried to
Caleb Glenn,
put a couple together because there's a lot of recruiting momentum that people are excited about, and so we're going to get into all that through those takes. But sometimes when we get one issue that people are really excited about, it makes the show shit.
So where were you when Caleb Glenn? Like I heard a rumor that was a possibility, and then it happened. Like were you like? Because I really wanted 3 quick takes from you. Like I was really worried, and I'm sure the readers and the listeners of this podcast.
So I and I'm getting a little fickler on this stuff. Like you can't work 7 months of it. And I have a great job. I love just about everything about my job. I'm not complaining about my job. Mm-hmm. And I love doing this show, and I love the interaction.
But here's me complaining.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying part of the job is you work weekends for 7 months. And that's just part of the job. When you sign up for it. When I got into the business, I knew that was the deal. When you're covering high school sports, you're working every Friday and Saturday night. Part of the deal. I don't mind it. Love it. But there does become a point where, you got to get some of that time back. And if you have a decent boss, and apparently not all Michigan State writers do, and and you've got a little bit of time accrued, you really shouldn't be working that much in June and July. And so things.
Graham.
I just hope anybody who was actually able to report that news last week is off this week and shouldn't be at the Moneyball Pro-Am, or off next week, or is skipping a football game, or finding a little way to have some time for themselves, or they just don't have that great a boss.
But how much reporting was necessary for? I mean, it is Caleb Glenn. Like, no offense to him. Like,
here's the thing: you
transfer
when you're off. The reason I try not to do the show when we're off is you want to be able to check out completely, right? The idea is just to,
but still check Twitter occasionally.
Occasionally,
Like,
I knew it happened. I when our story went up, I shared the story, but I wasn't going to lock in and write something. I am writing something today on it. Because it's breaking news now. To me,
after the fact.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, there's that's
spoiler alert.
That's okay.
He's out for the year.
That's okay. It's June, and it's rankings month. If you're gonna, that's what it is. I pre-wrote a column before I left to rank the best years to be an MSU football fan. I'm not. Let me just make that clear. I'm not complaining about the job. I'm just saying one of the perks of the job is you get some of that time back if you have a decent boss and a decent organization in June and July.
So maybe one quick take, like that's even off the table. Like
correct.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I was.
It's good to know before I re-up my contract with LSJ for another 3 months. I'm just
that
writing
said,
this note down.
In mid-July, I'll pretty much be back grinding it out for you, Jason. So
sorry, I'm just busting balls because I knew he was on vacation, and when any news breaks like that, it just makes me so happy because I just imagine Couch like scrambling or pacing back and forth in his Airbnb. So
there are certain levels, like Tom Izzo death. Yes.
Well, you know what? Man?
That would do it. I'm not. No.
Well, no shit. Yeah.
Right.
But even talking about it, I hate even
I'm sorry.
mentioning that.
I'm
like,
sorry.
of course, it's a given.
There are levels.
You don't want to
to
speak
it.
that into existence.
Well, I'm not. That's not what that
Tom
is.
Izzo lives. He lives forever. He's got to outlive me. Like that's the only thing Tom has to do. It shouldn't be hard.
Yeah, that gives him another 3 years tops.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
Like Tom, you just have to outlive me.
Right.
I don't want to be going. I'm not going to Tom Izzo's funeral.
Right. Uh-huh.
He's not coming to mine either. But
should we dig into these takes then?
We can keep going doing this awkward dance back and forth if you want for another 10 minutes.
Excellent. All
if
right.
the listeners are enjoying this.
I'll start. And I'll start with Caleb Glenn. So Michigan State loses Caleb Glenn, the transfer from Florida Atlantic, out for the year, leg injury.
Don't coach my team.
And that's not a good thing. That sucks for Michigan State. It sucks for Caleb Glenn. It just, they brought him in to be a part of things this year. He was planning on it. You never want any of this to happen. I don't think it is something, though, that is like Michigan State's not better without him. But I also don't think it's this debilitating loss for the season. But it hurts their depth. It hurts their versatility a little bit. It requires other players. Like Michigan State had a number of guys that we were waiting to see what they would be at this level or in their development, right? From Cohen Carr, who everybody is hoping takes a massive, just another step towards stardom, because he showed flashes of that last year and he took a major step from his freshman year. Jackson Kohler, a number of these guys, Jeremy Fears. And then these transfers that come in, I've heard good reports on Trey Fort. Everybody's hoping Kurt Tang is ready to be a guy who pushes for major minutes and is a consistent shooter at shooting guard. And Cam Ward, there are lots of guys that are sort of people are curious to see. And Caleb Glenn was one of them. And I think Caleb Glenn would have played a role on the team. He was a guy who's last year was a 40% shooter. He's a sizable wing. He can get downhill. He's a physical guy. No doubt that they could miss that. They won't miss it if other guys reach either a potential or grow to where, if other guys are at the level Michigan State needs them to be. It just requires that happening with more of them, right? Caleb Glenn was not a signing like this proven high major wing who was averaging 15, 16 points a game somewhere who was brought in to be a star. He was brought in to be a guy who was going to be part of the mix, and depending on what happened around him, a bigger or smaller part of the mix. I mean, Cohen Carr is very likely to start at that position. If not there, it'd be somewhere else. He's going to start, right? And certainly at the shooting guard position with Kurt Tang and Trey Fort, and then point guard with Jeremy Fears, obviously. So it changes a little of the lineup possibilities, but we didn't really know what those looked like yet anyway. So it stinks on a lot of fronts. If it's going to happen, better now than in September. So his recovery probably has him back full go well before next offseason, and he's able to take part in that and continue his development. It helps before Michigan State is really banking on him as part of a rotation that they've sort of built with him. But there are a lot of pieces that you really like. You just need more of them to hit. I mean, Michigan State had a lot of guys, and a lot of people really like Cam Ward and like the possibilities for him as a true freshman. I am one of those people. But we haven't seen it yet, right? And a lot of people think Cohen Carr has a chance, including Tom Izzo, to be a star this year. But we haven't seen that yet. So how many of those things happen will determine whether this injury is actually detrimental to Michigan State this year or just hurts their depth. And really, now you get a little bit thinner to where you can't afford maybe another injury. You've had your injury and you've had it early, so you need good health throughout. They had it last year. We'll see if they get it this year. I just don't it stinks in a lot of ways because I think he's a guy who was a wing, sizable wing who could shoot. But they have other guys who can shoot. They have other sizable wings. But it just hurts their depth and versatility a lot. But I don't think it's all that detrimental.
Do you realize you could have just had one take and you could have said, better now than in September? And then that would have been it. I just have one take real quick. Boom.
Well, yeah, but it's still, because he's not going to play this year, it's still a hit. It changes the team a little bit. They were planning.
It sucks
on
to lose anybody in that fashion,
yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah.
But is it going to be really impact? By the way, I saw Cohen Carr hitting wide open threes. I saw a little snippet of a video. Got me hyped.
Just wait for Moneyball. Wait till the wide open threes start going into Moneyball.
What is this thing that these guys, the athletes are wearing now that looks like a man bra, though?
They've been wearing that for a while.
Well, yeah, I understand. I'm not an athlete. I don't know the ins and outs of it. It just looks interesting.
Yeah, I think, first of all, sometimes they have things that actually can calculate, that hook to them that can calculate all sorts of stuff on there. But I think I've always thought it was just to avoid nipple rub. I could be wrong.
It's a long way to go for that, though.
I mean, you think about the nipple rub that you and I endured in the 90s when we hadn't figured out to wear an undershirt under anything or anything else.
Oh, my God. Yeah. You put on one of those mesh jerseys.
Oh, you get something
Forget about it.
Something that's embroidered, or embroidered.
Rubed it.
Embroidered. Like, that was the worst. He'd be raw in 10 minutes. It was rough.
Oh, man.
All right,
so much there.
What's your first take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
So after a week off, Couch, I walk in here, and I am absolutely hit in the face with a 97.1 hot take from our friend at Midtown Brewing Company. Boy, this is a rough show so far.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sean, great guy. He's the building manager. I think he owns us, right? He's like Jeff Hewitt. He owns us. But first of all, he goes, "Hey, ugly." And I was a little offended by that, but I forgot we put that in the package. Like, you get to call us ugly if you sign up and do spot reads. So I wasn't as offended anymore. But he goes, "How about we trade? We should start trading guys. We need Paul Skeens." He wanted Paul Skeens, he said. And he starts going down. By the way, let me ask you this: do you think that there's any untouchable Tigers? I'm talking like from the A-ball, the Max Clarks, like anybody.
No,
nobody. Even Riley Green. I mean, you would trade Riley Green
for the right haul, and it would have to include
for
major
Paul
leaguers.
Skeens. And I told him,
yeah.
I was like, "Well, what about when Paul Skeens needs his Tommy John surgery?" He's talking about trading Jackson Jobe. By the way, I started walking away when he said, "How about Riley Green?" Like, he was like Torque and blah, blah. And then he goes, Riley Green. He goes, "Well, what about Parker Meadows?" And I was like, "Sean, I gotta go. Like, I can't have this conversation anymore. I don't want to. I feel like Parker Meadows is untouchable. Riley Green is untouchable. Max Clark is untouchable. McCognell, he's untouchable, right? Like, those four guys. Skubal is untouchable, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless you – but what deal could you possibly get for a guy that you're going to have to end up paying $50 million a year?
Well, and here's the other problem. Paul Skeens has not had Tommy John surgery. So
I understand. That's what I told Sean. I said, now I'm going to get this guy because the Jobe thing absolutely gutted me just because we went through it with Casey Mize, and I feel like I didn't see Casey Mize for 5 years. And I know Jobe will come back for the playoff push next year, but that just seems so effing far away. And if we trade our guys, some of these guys like a Riley Green, which would be fucking wild to me. That dude's absolutely – he's going to be an all-star. He's raking. I wouldn't trade that guy.
They don't need Paul Skeens. I mean, Paul Skeens would be nice. If he was on the team, you'd be like, hell yeah. But they don't need that. Now, first of all, I would never trade for a pitcher. I would never give up much for a pitcher who hadn't yet had Tommy John, because you assume at some point there's 18 months you're going to lose him. So no thanks.
The problem is that we have a Jack Flaherty problem, and I just don't know. Obviously, the Dodgers just let him walk last year. Like, what is he going to be this rest of this season? What is Scott Harris going to do before the July 31st trade deadline? Because we have this whole time felt a Brad Holmes kind of vibe, like, we're going to do this in-house, we're going to do this our way. And I just don't think, I was trying to tell Sean, I was like, I just think that baseball, it takes so long. Like, everything takes forever in baseball, right? Like, I don't think that there is a open and shut window. I was like, Sean, where were you last year at this time? This team was shit last year at this time. They had to make it one of the unprecedented runs of all time, less than a 1% chance to make the playoffs, winning a series. Like, it was all improbable a year ago at this time, and every team starts to slump a little bit, but it is concerning the way the pitching staff is going and the piecemealing, the patchwork, putting in reliever guy here. Is that really working anymore? Have teams caught up to that aspect of it? The Jack Flaherty situation really kind of scares me, though, if we're not going to sit there and try to make certain moves before the July 31st trade deadline. I think we will. I just don't know if there will be a big splash. But shout out to Sean for that 97.1 hot take right in my face. By the way, the same guy after the Commanders game, I was walking in here on the sidewalk. He walks up to me and goes, "Hey, man, I saw that loss coming. And I was like, dude, that was like the last thing, Sean, I want to hear right now. I love you, man. You're a great guy. We've done shows at your restaurant. It's like the last thing, dude. I went to that game, and it sucked ass. I did not see that result coming. But anyway, I love Sean.
By the way, if you want to see Sean or enjoy Midtown Brewing Company has themed trivia nights. This next one coming up June 26th, this Thursday, Disney themed trivia night at Midtown Brewing Company. Those start at 7 p.m., second round at 8 p.m., prizes for the first, second, and third place winners. July 31st, a 90s pop culture. August 28th, Harry Potter. September 25th, Sex and the City. October 30th, Twilight. So,
dude, 90s pop culture, I think I could run the table.
There you go. July 31st. Maybe that's something we put together. That's not a bad deal over at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. To your point on the Tigers, like a couple things. What's been going on right now, and there's still, 19 games above 500?
Absolutely.
18 games above 500?
Yeah.
19. 8.5 up on the Guardians. And if you start to do the math, the odds that the Guardians are going to have a second half that's good enough, or anybody in the Central, the Royals are 10.5, the Twins 11.5 to catch the Tigers, isn't that great? They've got some wiggle room here. And so it creates an advantage. There are a couple things. One, the argument to sign Tarek Skubal is being made this year because you have this guy that every 5 days is a stopper of a losing streak. But it
costs you another $100,000 on top.
It changes you vibes because if he's healthy, he's an elite anchor and stopper. He prevents losing streaks, changes what's going on, gives you, and 2 games in a postseason series. And that's what you have to start thinking about if you're the Tigers, not just the regular season. I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to make the playoffs. So the question now is, how do you set up also in the postseason, which is so different than the regular season? You don't need the depth of pitching, but you do need good pitching. So if you don't have 2 really, really quality arms, you could have a couple guys like Mize and Flaherty who you like, but you're not sure of.
And Reese.
And
Reese Olson.
Yeah, so they've got guys, and Olson will be back.
Yep.
So I don't know entirely. I mean, Mize has looked okay the last 2 starts. Flaherty, you're right, up and down. It's a little concerning. I'm more thinking that this team is still needs another bat. Probably needs another arm too, but it's certainly not a Paul Skeens level player. No. They're still on pace just about for 100 wins. I don't think they're going to get there, but they're going to win more than 90 games. And they're going to win the division. And so the question is, when you get to the postseason, how you set yourself up. But I think what we're watching right now in this struggle, like if you take Tarek Skubal out of the equation, all of a sudden you can see how real losing streaks happen, how division leads go away. I think he prevents a lot of that stuff. You see what a true ace at that level, the Paul Skeens type level, but the Tigers have it. And Skubal, what that means, having 2 of those guys is the Tigers once had like 4 of these guys, but yeah, it's hard to put that together, and we're just not sure the ownership is going to pay at that level. If they're not going to pay Skubal, why trade for Skeens? I don't even know where he is in his contract, so I should.
And why would Pittsburgh? I mean, they're still going to get some max value out of Skeens, right? His value is the highest it's ever going to be, and they're not going to keep him. They're not going to sign him, I don't think.
No,
so
they're going to trade.
I mean, they're going to be willing to trade him. I think just it's going to take 2 to 3 years for him. I don't know. Just cracked me up. Yeah. I just don't think that the sky is falling. Like that's the problem with baseball, how slow it is. Like I was mentioning, the Yankees didn't score a run while we were gone. I think for like 4 straight games or some crazy shit like that. The Dodgers, like every team, no matter who you are, you're going to go through a certain kind of slump. It's just Jack Flaherty's looks like it's for real, and it's going to be a long-term thing. And what are we going to do about it is all. I don't think anybody other than Sean or someone calling 97.1 is thinking Skeens trade level. Like, how would Scott Harris do all of this and fucking trade Mark Canha 3 times for like unprotected shit, and then all of a sudden, I'm a Paul Skeens guy. Let's make this blockbuster trade.
But they have built their organization to the point that they have the pieces to go do that.
Sure.
And so that could be, you never. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it.
If we've waited so long to kind of rebuild our kind of our minor league organization, and they're all flourishing right now. So you would think, yes, there's a cachet of guys that we could possibly, dangle over someone. I'm okay with that because prospects, that's exactly what they are. They're not guaranteed. I mean, maybe Max Clark, McCognell. I mean, those guys, they can possibly be guarantees, but other than that, you don't know about some of these dudes.
And again, besides the the Tommy John thing. Like
it's just brutal.
I would be really worried about any pitcher who hadn't had it. And
how could you not be?
Yeah,
it's always dangled out there over top of you.
It's sort of like, this brings me on the next take. It's sort of like the NBA stars right now with Achilles tendon tears, and what's going on there. And obviously, what happened with Tyrese Halliburton sucked, and Game 7, and just to watch him on the floor like that, pounding the floor, knowing what had happened right away, playing through a calf strain. You've got, but now the Pacers are sort of out of the hunt next year, most likely. The Celtics, out of the hunt. Similar injury to their star next year. The Bucks, with Damian Lillard, similar injury. Even with Giannis, out of the hunt. So my question is, like, if you're the Pistons right now, and you were pretty close to beating the Knicks, not quite there, but certainly outplayed them in a number of games, and the Knicks got to the conference final. Like, you're just not that far away. You're a dude away from maybe being at the Indiana level. How aggressive do you now get this summer? When you start thinking about timelines, and you don't want to do something rash and stupid and lose patience, but you know, and I know some people are terrified to trade Jaden Ivey or somebody like Jalen Duren, but if there's a move out there that gives you a second guy, a real, a legitimate top 15 second guy, if you can get a hold of that, top 20 second guy, this seems like a now if you think Ivy could still be that, then be careful. But to me, this is a real opportunity in the East when you look around and you go, what, a Cleveland team that has choked a couple years, a Knicks team that the Pistons just about beat this year, and who else? Orlando now maybe. But like if I'm the Pistons, this is
Orlando because they signed traded for Desmond Bain.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great trade for them. It was a great trade adding to what they have. If they stay healthy, they got a real chance. But the Pistons should want to make that move too, I think. The Pistons should, now, again, and they have to also understand, contracts are coming due on some guys that they're not going to be able to afford anyway, probably. But I just think if I were the Pistons, I wouldn't completely tear up the plan. But what I mean is, when you look around, you're in the East, which is great to start, and you look around and you go, there are three teams that were either in the finals or have Tatum is like a frontline, headline, top 5 guy in the NBA. Giannis, top 5 guy in the NBA. And these guys aren't going to be in position. They're either injured or they're not going to be in position to win a title next year or compete in the East. Like I would be inclined to make my move this year if I were the Pistons.
So is Booker a free agent, or we would have to trade for him?
They'd have to trade for him if they wanted to, yeah.
And obviously, looking at the Durant trade, you might be able to fleece Phoenix or maybe they're going to be a little gun shy after they've been goofed on for the Kevin Durant trade. Or
they would want a lot more than they got for Durant, who's 37. They would want a lot more for in prime 28-year-old Devin Booker.
I mean, does that trade excite you, that Durant trade? I was looking at Houston's roster. I mean, they had to give up a lot, and 72 second-round picks or whatever. I'm looking at it's just Kevin Durant. I know it's obviously the season just ended last night. But and by the way, 71 days since the regular season ended. I mean, can we stop the insanity on some of this scheduling? As much as I like sporting events to kind of linger in the summer so there's not just baseball, but now that the Tigers are playing so well, it doesn't really matter to me anymore. But it just seems like that is such a wild scheduling problem. I'm not blaming any injuries on it whatsoever. I just think as far as your viewing experience, it's just kind of wild to look at the scheduling. The finals takes 3 weeks.
I would look at it from a completely different angle, as a positive. The only thing that most people care about with the NBA is the playoffs. I watch a ton of playoff basketball. So 71 days, I watch the playoffs. You know how many regular season games I watch? Maybe 5. So for all those months, they got a bigger problem.
But you need a couple days in between, even if it's still a home and home kind of thing. Like, I just don't understand that aspect of it. If you're traveling, I can understand a day in between. But
yeah, to me,
I'm with you on how much better the playoffs are than the regular season. But it looks absurd when you see the numbers.
Sure.
71 days.
For a long time.
This is the regular season end.
If you're a bad team, you haven't played in a long time. Do you have any other takes before we get
Absolutely.
to
Real quick gripe before we get to everybody's hot takes. Went and saw the Black Crows at the GLC Live at 20 in Grand Rapids. Great venue, small little venue there. I'm sick and tired of having to live by rules because of the 1% and under of assholes that go to events. Because I just would like to get a water. Like, I know that you need the cap because you're scared people are going to throw that. But this was even further. Like, I just like, can I get a water? Like, well, I think the band. I don't want to blame the venue on this because I think the Black Crows at the last second, because one of the vendors did say that last second we had to change. So she had to pour my water into like a flimsy paper cup. And now I'm carrying this stupid paper cup around and, I'm on ADMGs. I just wanted a fucking water. Like, and the reason why we have to have that is because people throw things. Now, I've been to a lot of concerts. I've been to sporting events. I've never seen anybody throw anything up on the stage that warranted the concert to end or the event to end. I just don't know why we have to live by these rules. There's a lot of rules that we live by, and it's because of stupid-ass people that happens under 1% of the time. And I wish we could just change that because it was a great venue, great night. The Black Crows are one of my favorite bands. T and I went for our 3rd anniversary kind of thing. That was our thing. So we had a good time. But I'm sitting there going like, and on the way home, of course, she was bored by my rants. So I figured I would do it here.
So our listeners get to hear it instead.
Absolutely, because I feel like people can agree with me, like being on hold, and they tell you, and you have to listen through a whole fucking prompt because one time someone called the doctor thinking they were calling 911 or something, so now we have to hear that 30-second bullshit before every phone call to any doctor's office or anything of importance. And it goes with water as well, and the fact that and by the way, the Pittsburgh Pirates tweeted out yesterday they were giving out free water at any grandstand or wherever you go get your waters at because it was so hot yesterday. Like they were doing God's work. Like they were doing this great thing. Like no shit. If you didn't price it $9, I'd go up and pay $2 for a water. Goes for the airports as well. It just blows my mind. Anyway, so that was my...
Well, that's been pent up, hasn't
it? Yeah, because I'm just so sick of having to do, I'm a stupid guy, but I live by rules. I play by the rules. I don't like to sit there. I don't like to make other people uncomfortable. I would be mortified if I threw some shit up there. Have I done shit in past life? Yeah, absolutely. In my life. I've done dumb shit, but never throw anything on a stage or I just feel like we just have to live by these rules for assholes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well. That was not the most entertaining thing I had seen this weekend, but it was. I do understand your frustration on that stuff.
As you should too. I'm sure you go to these events and you have to do certain things, or you have to go through the goddamn scanner. And I know that we have to do that because of the gun problem. But then you're out there with your hat off and you're standing with your hands up. You got everything in your hand. You just look like an asshole. It's just like it's the most nerve-wracking thing to get in the like you feel like you've accomplished something by getting into a concert. It's just
The most entertaining thing I've seen while I was away, besides staring out at Lake Superior and the peace and joy of that, and the cold morning and the muskox flannel on the beach, the most entertaining thing I saw while I was away, Club World Cup soccer. By the way, I thought I wouldn't be into it. I'm totally into it. The South American countries are having a great start. It's just I don't know. I just love soccer, and anyway, a lot of it on TBS. A lot of it available through Xfinity, and if you've tried cutting the cord and doing lots, and we all have lots of things we subscribe to, but I'm telling you right now, there's still nothing better than cable. And even if you want to just go through have streaming services, and you got to have that too. You want Netflix, you want Peacock. Great deals offered through Xfinity and through Xfinity and Xfinity Comcast, where you bundle those together, you pay a little less. Just some great offerings as well. And also, Xfinity Mobile, a great way to get the coverage of Verizon for a much smaller price. Go to Xfinity.com, type in your area. Almost certainly, it'll be available to you. Some great offerings, both with the sports and TV news package, with Xfinity Internet, with Xfinity Mobile, all there at Xfinity.com. Check it out today. Are you ready to dig into these listener takes?
Yep. Eric Schultz up first, of course. If losing a solid transfer for the season is enough to lower MSU out of real contention, it means they didn't do enough building the roster. It wasn't that long ago where a team lost a 15 points per game scorer in Langford and still won the Big Ten and made the Final Four. Losing Glenn shouldn't change expectations.
Not one bit. Not one bit. Now, and I get, like Izzo's one of those guys that at some point will use this line during a 3-game losing streak in January about a guy they lost the previous June, and that's the way coaches work, right? They always have something there, but it should not change expectations. It should not change what this team can become because this team really hadn't been formed yet. I mean, he had just arrived. I mean, it's a shame of it for him, but I mean, this wasn't a team that knows its roles, that understands what it needs. Like, he's not part of it. It was the best time to lose a guy. There's even time if you wanted to go find somebody else in the portal or do something else. That stuff exists. Now, they'd have to already be in the portal or they'd have to be overseas. You'd have to get creative. I don't think they need that. Like I said, their depth has hurt a little bit, but it's almost like you don't know what you didn't have. And like I look around at this roster, and there are a number of other really intriguing guys who overlap the positions that Glenn would play and the role that Caleb Glenn would play for them. And those guys just have to perform and develop or be at the level Michigan State needs them to be.
The urinal or portal.
Dominic, next, number 1, stop leaving me, you Lake Superior cuck. He's talking to you.
I know. Should I tell him we're off 2 weeks after this week?
Oh, yeah, don't tell him that.
Don't tell him that. Don't. Sorry.
I might actually have to fix this in post.
Yeah, sorry.
2, McCoskey, Woj, Pat Caputo, Los Monterez. Graham must get 0 sleep at night knowing he has to defend these insufferable penises. No offense, though, Couch. And 3, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many random dudes did my ex bang on my birthday while we were together?
Oh, boy.
Like a scale of 1 dude to 10 dudes?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to
be 10.
Or,
I mean, he's calling. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, every Twitter question, hot take thing. She's a whore. I mean,
I would hope
whores like penises.
I would hope it was below 1, just for Dominic's sake, just on his birthday.
That wouldn't take the pain away, though.
No.
You care to touch number 2, or are we just going to pass on?
Oh, McCoskey, Woj, Caputo, Monterez.
You only defend Los, though.
I defend
pretty much.
Woj
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I defend Woj a little bit. Caputo, I just like the story about I've told the story before, but when he applied for the Lansing State Journal, and he told our editor that he was looking to wind down as he got towards retirement. Like, that's what he said in the job interview. Like,
I'm looking to half-ass this.
Yeah, like, okay, let's hire this guy.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
I still got my Bustin' Balls podcast, so that's going to take up the majority of my time, so I might fire you guys a little article here once in a while. Sparty Barb next. Number 1, I feel terrible for Caleb Glenn. 2, with Glenn's injury, Scott and Ward will need to be major scoring contributors this year. At least 10 points a night from each. And 3, Izzo needs to pick up a one-and-done Euro big that can score to put this team in the Final Four contention.
I don't think that's going to happen. But the number 2 from Sparty Barb on needing Cam Ward and Scott to average 10 a game, the 2 freshmen coming in, I don't think that's the case. I just don't, because just start to look at the lineup. The likely starting lineup doesn't include either of them. I think Cam Ward's going to play a big role, and we'll see what Scott does. But Scott's more of a shooting guard wing. I mean, we'll see. He's a lanky guy, but he's probably behind Trey Fort and Kurt Tang at the 2. At the 3, he's behind Cohen Carr, and we'll see who else fills that, and whether a guy like Cam Ward plays some of those minutes or where they go, and you can also play Trey Ford at the 3. There's still other things to do. I don't think that the real points needed from Scott are there. What they will need is shooting, and if Scott can provide that and others don't, then that's telling. But as long as Kurt Tang is ready to play major minutes and shoot well, and Trey Fort shoots a decent percentage, and they have. You got to have a couple shooters on the floor. That's where I think the thing with losing some of the versatility and flexibility, that's what the losing Glenn potentially did, just because he was a guy who could shoot, could play either forward spot, mostly a wing. And I it puts it more on Cohen Carr to have made the strides there as a shooter making threes. But Michigan State, if Cohen Carr doesn't take those strides, doesn't make those strides where he can hit open threes or open shots and be more of a creator offensively, Michigan State's not going anywhere anyway. Like, this is a team that needs Cohen Carr to take the next step. They need Jackson Kohler to take the next step. They need Jeremy Fears to take the next step. Those 3 guys are still the keys to a lot of things happening. And if those don't happen, these pieces they've added around, it won't be enough.
Suburban Spartan Dad, pre-Caleb Glenn injury, Izzo believed this team might be as good or better than last year. You don't just add Duke and Arkansas to a non-conference schedule with Kentucky and North Carolina if you have doubts about your team. He was unsure going into last year and scheduled that way.
It is a good non-conference schedule. The Arkansas home game, and home, and then having Duke on the schedule, and they'll play North Carolina down in Fort Myers as well. And then obviously you have. He mentions Kentucky, North Carolina. It's a really good non-conference schedule, really tough non-conference schedule. Potentially, if those teams are as good as they often are. And I think he thought, first of all, I think he likes testing his team regardless, but he thought he at the very least has a really competitive team. I think the question with this Michigan State team coming up is, what's the ceiling? Is this a team that's in contention for Big Ten titles again and more, or is it just going to be a team with a lot of depth and some seasoned guys that can compete with anybody on a given night? And that we won't know for a while.
Spartan 18770 next. As a present-day college fan, we can only live for the moment. Next year isn't guaranteed to be better, and more than likely, the lineup won't be what we expect.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, that is part of it's part of what sucks about today's college fandom and college sports is, and I used to really enjoy this growing up, is you could sort of picture a team getting, like I remember when Antonio Smith, when I was a 15-year-old fan of Michigan, no, younger than that, 15, 16, when Antonio Smith became a freshman at Michigan State. And he wasn't that good yet, but he played quite a bit, and that team wasn't that good. But it's like, there's a freshman you're going to have for 4 years. He's going to, you can see how things could work for him, how important he was going to be. And you used to have that ability to not only enjoy the moment but live for next year. And why that's important is because at some point in a lot of seasons you realize this season isn't going to be everything of my dreams. And if you still have hopes for next year and what's coming down the pike and you can sort of see it and count on it, then it's easier to enjoy what is if it's leading towards something. And the fact that we've sort of lost that to some degree in college sports is a problem, because if a season that creates more angst within a season, and I'll give you a great example of this long before the transfer portal. In 2013-14, Michigan State basketball starts the year with that great win over Kentucky. At their best was probably the best team in the country, that Michigan State team. You got the Keith Appling wrist injury, his confidence. That team lost a lot of games it shouldn't, got to the Elite Eight and still felt like a disappointment. And part of the angst of that year was not just that team and the frustration with that team. It's that at that moment, people thought Izzo had lost his fastball in recruiting. They had missed out on a number of Chicago guys, the Jabari Parkers, Jaleel Okafor, all those guys. And they were replacing them with Javon Bess and Tum Tum Nairns. Those were the guys coming in next. People thought this was the last chance. People thought there was no next year. Now, a year later, he lands Miles Bridges and Cassius Winston and all those guys, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, had that wrong. But in that moment, the angst was partly created by the inability to enjoy anything coming after that year. And so that's the problem. You get that more and more in college sports.
Tyler, next. It looks like MSU football just got some pretty good pledges. Can the folks who were freaking out last month take the summer off? Social accounts.
Yeah, it's been a good month. Almost up to, I don't think they're quite up to 20 commitments, but they're close. And another 4-star receiver, and the thing that I wrote at the beginning of last month or in May, whenever it was the idea of just like, you got to give Jonathan Smith a year or two. Let's see what he does. And we still don't know what that's going to be. This class that their commitments may wind up being underwhelming. Some of them they may not sign, whatever it could. But again, something's happened that people didn't anticipate a month ago. And so let's just let year 2 happen for the man. Let him coach a team that he's had a bigger hand in putting together, right? Let's I don't know. I think a lot of people can sort of see that now and hopefully learn from some of the reaction a month ago.
Andrew Gauthier, I'm encouraged by the 2026 MSU football recruiting class. I'm not really bothering to learn any names or anything about these recruits. I doubt I'll see half of them actually play in the green and white. And bonus, Keegan Bradley will make the Ryder Cup on points, becoming the first playing captain in decades. Yeah, since 1963 when Palmer did it.
Wow.
It'd be wild. I felt so bad for Fleetwood yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, did you watch that?
I didn't, but I
players?
read about it. It sounded.
I was happy for Keegan. I didn't even want to bet against Fleetwood. Like, Fleetwood's value was terrible, but I saw Russell Henley sitting there plus 450. Like, I'm like, because Fleetwood, that's like been his MO, is like he's going to fail at the end and choke, and it's brutal to watch. But shout out to Keegan. David S. Since we can't celebrate individual commitments, we can at least acknowledge this improvement in recruiting is refreshing to see. And from Mr. Neurotic Pants. Number one, having been incommunicado for the last few weeks, but it's clear that there's been a vibe shift, head change, improved outlook, feeble sense of incipient optimism or something, better than the fecal scent of death that surrounded football recruiting. 2, words become worlds, so I can't say anything.
I don't know what that means, but it's deep. It's deep. Appreciate your.
That's why he's been incommunicado.
Yeah. I do think it's important that people don't get caught, and I think people are getting this now. Don't get caught up in individual commitments, but instead rather look at momentum for recruiting a program. Like, you see a few people on there talking about the 4-star receiver they landed that already flipped from somewhere else. In other words, he committed somewhere else originally. So who knows if he'll actually stick with Michigan State. Like, again, we got to be smarter than this. Got to be smarter than this as a people. No high school kid committing in the summer is actually committing. But if you get a number of commitments over time, you can look at it as a group and say that's progress, or a number of highly rated recruits or higher rated recruits, or there seems to be momentum. That can be all real. I'm not poo-pooing that altogether. I'm just saying no individual kid should be looked at as part of the future, because the odds are he won't sign, or he'll transfer where he plays, or he won't work out, whatever it is. The odds that they'll ever be an impact player on the field are just so much less than they even used to be. And so let's keep that in mind. And in football recruiting, it's always been dubious at this point in the year.
Green Machine next. Love college recruiting this time of year, especially when MSU football is on such a heater. But I hope they have a good season, or half of these guys will be long gone. As for now, if I'm Jonathan Smith, I'm pulling up to the blackjack table while I'm sizzling hot.
And see, that's the thing. What's so interesting about football rather than men's basketball, and two things. In basketball, you have there just aren't as many guys. So each recruit means more. It's by name. Everybody knows their name. Everybody knows who they are. You can have 2 recruits and have a great class if they're the right 2 recruits. You get Marcus Taylor and Zach Randolph, and it's a 2-person class. Everybody's going, that's a great class. And the other thing that happens is the first signing day, the fall signing day, is in November, really before the season starts. So you sign, and then you can have this awful year, or whatever happens. It doesn't reflect an early signing. In football, the entire season happens, a whole nother season. The vibes change entirely between now and now. They can change for the better or for the worse. Michigan State could have a good season, and all of a sudden, kids they missed on, other things, they could be flipping kids. Be a whole different. Some of these kids they're getting now, things could not go well, and they're losing them all. Anybody who recruits before the season starts, before there's adversity, before there's momentum one way or another, and because they're 17-year-olds, because they're not actually committing, because half these kids are being flipped anyway, because they don't understand what a commitment is, just, you can't celebrate that kid. It shouldn't be news. It shouldn't be a press conference on its own. Again, it's got to be actual momentum in bulk rather than just one kid, because that shit just doesn't matter. It's too late. We shouldn't be covering that stuff.
Adam Blonde next. Recruiting in football has really taken off because money and new AD, or timing for Jonathan Smith and company. Coincidence? And from some dude. Number one, Jay Batt must have come in and just doubled the football budget, whether he had a commitment from key donors or not. How else do you explain this? Couch will get to the bottom of this. 2, Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke kill me. 3, last week Jason said that Antonio Brown pulled a gun on some dude. I just want to let everyone know it wasn't me. I'm safe at this point in time.
Some dude reporting that he was not some dude that Antonio Brown pulled a gun.
Thank God,
yes.
yeah, because AB's on the run now. So
yeah, we didn't need that. The good questions here from Adam and some dude, though, on the idea that, Jay Batt's influence on this because of the timing. I have not talked to Jonathan Smith about this or Jay Batt about this, and I don't know if there is any. My hunch, my sense is, my guess is there is not much of a correlation. Only that this, like, what people should understand is revenue sharing was here. So Michigan State football was going to have 15 or 16 million budgeted just from revenue sharing for next season, and part of that would be budgeted towards recruiting. And you know who else has that? Purdue, Alabama, Ohio State. Everybody's got that. So, but you've all of a sudden got money that you're budgeting, you're figuring you have to have, and maybe, maybe there was a conversation in terms of what would be promised that was going to be there. Hallard had said this is the money that needed to be there too. I don't know that there's any correlation in terms of new AD and in sort of the way the recruiting is heated up, but just understand that this. He didn't double the recruiting budget. Nothing like that happened. The budget was the budget. In terms of revenue sharing, 15 to 16 million every year is going to football. That's like the minimum. That's the baseline in the Big Ten and for power conference schools like the SEC and the Big Ten. So that was going to be there, and they're now able to recruit with that knowledge and those promises.
By the way, what happened to Doris Burke, though? I feel like people have done a 180 on her. I thought she was like beloved and like. Yeah, now I hear a lot of people because I don't watch many games or have the sound up, have it on second TV. So I don't. Is Doris Burke turned like terrible now? Like I thought people liked her.
She doesn't bother me. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're not a good case. Like you blindly support women. So like that's. I mean, that's no. We're not going to get an actual answer.
No. Hold on. If Doris Burke sucked, I would say she's not very good. I just don't think she does. She doesn't bother me. Like there are announcers that bug me, and she's not one of them.
Yeah. Adam Verse is next. 30 days ago, the vocal minority wanted to run Jonathan Smith out of town. Today, they're praising his recruiting ability. It's a simple reminder that over a motive doesn't represent reality and should be ignored. And bonus, Where's Home has become the headline for entitled high schoolers. Where's Home?
Is that really what they say? Is like in their...
I don't hang with kids. I don't know.
Well, even on I'm talking about like on social media when they tweet out where they're going, or I don't know.
I don't see. Thankfully, I'm not a part of any of that where I would see anything.
You don't see me sharing their recruiting updates anymore either because I just don't trust them. I mean, it's just sharing bullshit, and so I don't think any of us should be reporting. Again, I don't think any of us should be reporting on it. I just don't. Not this early.
Got to narrow down to my 10 schools. It's like.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different issue. Yeah, I do think that people. I'm hoping there are some lessons in and look, the recruiting class is still, when you look at the overall average grade, not anywhere near the top of the Big Ten, right? It's middle and but that's everything is a work in progress. It's all before the season, and we haven't seen Jonathan Smith have time to develop a roster. We haven't seen them under this new revenue share have the time to retain guys. Like all that stuff we're going to find out, and I just think you just got to let that stuff play out a little bit.
Scotty Green's El Camino next. Call me confused. How does Jonathan Smith's 2025 class make us think he's recruiting in the MAC or MIAA? And here comes 2026 with a great start near the top of the Big Ten. I guess it pays to be patient and baked. CMU will be designated a terrorist organization, rated by ICE, athletic department sent to Guantanamo, and completely banned from playing football ever again. I want blood. And bonus, hope you enjoyed your vacation, Couch. Way to jinx MSU sports. You leave, bad shit happened. I blame you for Caleb Glenn's injury.
Apologies. I would, yeah.
2 weeks coming up in July.
A lot of stuff going to go wrong.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I have to cancel that. The Hondo Carpenter of Southern Maine. Baked. Jonathan Smith bringing in many offensive linemen through recruiting and the portal has made me hopeful for the future. I was also hopeful Damon Kaler would be the next Flozell Adams. I'm a stupid douche that never learns. Likewise.
Yeah. Well, it's better than not having these guys. You know what I mean? Like, what's happened this month in MSU football is better than it not happening. Is all I can say. Like, there's no problem. It doesn't come with any guarantees. But if you don't add players, you don't get players of any renown. You don't add offensive linemen and all that stuff, and then you're really in trouble. So at least it gives you a shot.
CMCK12. In 2020, Hondo knew the receptionist at the office I worked at and was a Raiders fan. At 8 a.m., Hondo comes in and calls someone on his phone. We hear only his side saying, "Oh, sorry, Coach Gruden, I'm in Michigan. Forgot you were 3 hours behind. See you next week." The receptionist was so impressed. Odds he actually called Gruden.
0%.
Less than 0%.
Less than 0%.
And the fact that the receptionist was so impressed is really sad to me.
Well,
Like, I got to understand if you've never met Hondo, but I think the presentation of Hondo and what you're viewing would be like, oh,
he sells it, man. I've been there. I've been around this. I mean, this is my earliest memories of Hondo, and I think I've told most of these stories, were him making up a source that Bill Cubitt at Western Michigan, when I worked in Kalamazoo, was going to be the new head coach at Stanford.
Yeah.
And somebody else who was at the press conference where he did that told me about it, so I had to chase down and debunk a story before I realized it was Hondo who had started the rumor. And then it was the preseason of 2006. I'm in Cleveland. Jerome Harrison, J.C. Harrison from Kalamazoo Central, who played at Washington State, led the nation in rushing, gets drafted by the Browns in the 5th round. It's like his first preseason game as a rookie. So I go to do a piece on him. And a lot of people remember he played for the Lions for a while, had to retire because of a brain tumor. But Hondo is in the the row behind me in the press box, having the name dropping. He's talking to the guy next to him is incredible, and then the conversations on his phone that are just complete bullshit in terms of who he's talking to. I mean, the Bobby Bowdens of the world, like just the number of the guy. I mean, look, we had the 33% rule at Michigan State, and I don't know if I'm letting people inside the green curtain here or whatever, but I don't know what that means. But
you've said this exact same thing on previous shows, I think.
Have I? Okay, good. Yeah. And I think Kyle Lawson came up with this. But the 33% rule was that, I mean, he was plugged into a degree, especially when Hollis and those guys were still around. So he wasn't always completely off. Like, you had to check what he said. So 33% of the time, it was actual good insight.
I think that's heavy, though.
33% of the time, it was greatly embellished. 33% of the time, it was completely fabricated. And but you never knew what it was. And so it was like, fuck. And he'd come up to you and he'd say, hey, Graham, you got a sec? I got to talk to you. Just between you and I.
Just between two family men.
My God. It was just incredible.
Two great fathers just breaking it down.
Yeah. And that was a story presented by our friends, a story we're telling presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing with a great new summer menu. Trivia on Tuesday night. Some great summer trivia that we got into earlier that you can check out at Facebook at their Facebook page, facebook.com. I'm really sucking at the live reads today, facebook.com, like it's some 19.
The www.facebook.com.
2007.
Make sure you give it all out in case people get confused.
Yeah.
Don't know how to hit their app.
Yeah. Amazing place to watch a Tigers game. Just get out of the heat and enjoy a meal. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
MCV next. Most people are predicting MSU football to be better based on who's on the roster. I would argue that they will be better based on who's no longer on the roster. And bonus, even though it's hot enough for even me to say it's hot out, I'd take this over any winter weather any day of the year.
Not me.
At least I don't have to white-knuckle my drive home, shovel the sidewalk, and slip and fall on my ass while walking up the driveway after work.
I'd rather do all of that than do
I
this.
agree, though, MCV.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. Yesterday was balls hot, but I still would take that weather because God bless air conditioning, central air.
Well, that's the thing.
That's what I mean. Like,
our house is 68 degrees.
Yeah.
We're not fucking around.
Right. So I'm saying, like, I was able to go out and do some stuff on Saturday and then come back in for like an hour, go back out for so I don't mind that. I hate winter with a passion, so I agree, MCV.
It's like 96 degrees outside, and I'm inside with a muskox flannel and a cup of coffee because it's 68 in the house.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Perfect.
I thought you meant right now. I had to look over at you. Chris?
No, it's hot. It's hot right here.
Yeah.
The light, I got a little sweaty. Plus, you said I looked good, but I put on about 6 pounds last week. It's lots of good food choices at Marquette.
Exactly 6 lbs? Or you just feel that way?
No, I weighed myself this morning. Exactly.
Pre or
lbs.
post dump? You always got to wait till post dump.
Yeah, post.
Chris Easlick. Number 1, the umps from the Coastal Carolina LSU game should be ashamed. Arguing strikes is typically a no-no, but the first inning of a championship series, have some restraint for the situation. 2, there is not a coach with worse injury luck than Izzo. Not in the number of injuries, but it was seemed to be a critical time or critical piece to that year. This is where Graham lectures me on injuries not being special at MSU. Appreciate you, Graham. And bonus, bullpen volatility from year to year is insane. Don't waste a good one when you've got it.
I wouldn't say this is. I mean, the Tigers have had better bullpens than this. They've got parts of it are really good. Not all of it.
And I don't believe that if they don't win a World Series this year, that's just over. I feel like we had some good momentum going, I guess. Does it have to happen this year? I mean, I would love to win a World Series, obviously, but
yeah, I mean, I just think that what's important, it's not whether they win a World Series, because that's a crapshoot. I mean, it's really hard to do. But what's important is they recognize that this team has earned the right. They ought to make a move to give this team the best chance possible, because this team's a 100-win team, and that, they talked about it before when they weren't that good. When they wanted when the team was at a place where they could actually contend, they would do everything they could to contend. Well, that team is there now, and so they're finding flaws, they're finding injuries, and they need to do it. I'm not going to lecture Chris on anything, because I've already lectured him on the weather. Did you see this thing with the Coastal Carolina coach of the LSU game where he got thrown out?
I saw a tweet about it. I didn't dive in on it, but yeah.
I can't tell if this guy's this. I mean, from his perspective, the manager's perspective, he just said you missed 3 calls after a warning, and and there sounds like there was a little bit of a bump, but it may have not been. I don't know. From his perspective, he didn't do that much wrong. I don't like in big games like that refs not having the maturity and experience to even say that to a coach. Like, hey, this is a big game. Emotions are high. I don't want to throw you out of here, but you got to cool it. And, none of that was done. That should be the bare minimum for an umpire, a referee, and anything to make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen.
Have we heard from the ump, though? Maybe, this guy was a complete douche. He's just had enough of them.
Well, if the umps aren't going to show up to post-game press conferences and make themselves available, then they don't get the benefit of the doubt. That, to me, is, I know in some places you get a pool reporter and you're able to talk to the refs at least. But to me, I am done giving them benefits of the doubt if they don't want to be part of the post-game interview. If they don't want to be held accountable like everybody else is. You get a freaking 18-year-old freshman in college gets held accountable for missing a shot. But a 50-year-old umpire or referee can't be held responsible, can't be held accountable by answering a few questions about what they saw. The best ump response I've heard in a while was actually, it might have been during the Tigers game, it might have been somebody else, and he said to the manager, or maybe it was a Tigers game and the broadcasters picked it up, something like, hey, I got it, I'll do better. That's a great way of saying I missed the call, but without admitting you missed the call. You know what I mean? Just have a little humility yourself. Understand, nobody expects perfection. Just don't be a douchebag.
And speaking of umps and referees, so Scott Foster's in the NBA, he's a good referee now.
Apparently,
I saw these tweets. Actually, Scott. I know Carlisle was talking about Foster, but I figured he was buttering him up. Well, Carlisle's a smart guy, so you kiss Foster's ass, he's not going to be as hard on your guys during a game. Possibly,
he wouldn't be doing the NBA Finals if he wasn't good. It's like Ted Valentine. People don't like him, but coaches, especially on the road, love him because he's one of the referees who doesn't get influenced by a home crowd. So if you're on the road. If you're a road team and you see Ted Valentine doing your college basketball game, you're happy.
Teddy.
You're happy.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, Fleetwood will never recover from his epic collapse. And bonus, 97 degrees is not that hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, dude, it's hot.
It sucks. It sucks all around.
What is hot for you then, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to live in Phoenix or someplace like that, I'm amazed. I'm watching these Club World Cup games on Xfinity.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got, they're in all these humid, hot areas of the United States where a lot of the World Cup is going to be played next year. I don't get it. Why is everything, if we're hosting something as a country in the summer, everything should be above, the line of, Indianapolis, straight across the country. Nothing should be south of that because nobody wants to be in that area. I do not get it at all. Why, Minneapolis, Seattle, Milwaukee, Detroit, Chicago, Boston, Rochester, whatever. Portland,
naming
Maine.
Cities now?
Yes, I'm naming cities. But why these aren't – anytime we host something as a country that's after May and before October, that's where it should be. I mean, nothing is everything's inhabitable in Texas. I do hear your voice in my head when I take a shit.
Jebediah next. The Pistons will have a bigger summer than the Tigers. East is blown wide open with Hallie and Tatum injuries, and Tatum Langdon will be dealing to get the Pistons to a top 4 seed. I expect Scott Harris to make some moves, but they won't be big needle movers.
I am looking forward to this NBA offseason. I think it's going to be wild. I kind of want the Pistons to be a part of it, but I also don't want them to be a part of it to the point that they screw something up just to be a part of it. And I got mixed feelings on Jaden Ivey, and I'm also very aware of the way the new cap works, which is a hard cap, and the new second aprons and all that stuff in the NBA. Like, you can't, like, to pay Jaden Ivey, and maybe Jaden Ivey's realistic about what he can get, and they can work out a great deal. But if he's not, to pay Jaden Ivey, he has to be like a top 20 player in the NBA. Otherwise, you got to let him go.
Do you think David Stern was rolling over in his grave when the Durant announcement, like, he was actually at this Fan Fest thing, and they announced it on a Game 7, the day of Game 7? Like, Stern never wanted that kind of shit. Dan Patrick was talking about how Stern would always tell him, do not break any news on a day of NBA Finals. There should be no news on the NBA Finals games.
Well, the one problem is the NBA draft is 3 days later. Like, right. Phoenix wanted a draft pick, so they had to make the move. Like, I guess they could have waited till Monday, but like, they didn't leave themselves a whole lot.
I just don't see how they both. You know what I mean? I feel like you can soak in the Kevin Durant news and still watch the game at 8. Like, what does it take away? I guess I don't get that. Peasy, I'm ready for someone besides ESPN to have flagship NBA coverage. Everything about their presentation is washed. New theme sucks. Stephen A. and Perk are unbearable, and even Breen is a shell of himself. Please, NBC, save us. And bonus, Graham, do you have any advice for draft dodging? Bonus, if I can. OKC is the perfect encapsulation of our modern life. Soulless, ruthless, hyper-efficient above all else.
Does not make them lovable. Draft dodging.
Isn't it amazing, though, OKC, they win a championship with, like, this roster, but they've had, like, how many? They've had the Durant, Harden, Westbrook combos, and then they had to steal, like, fleece the Clippers for SGA. It's pretty wild, though.
And I still understand why the Clippers did what they did too. They've been patient since then. They screwed it up initially, and they've been patient since then. It's the advice for draft dodging would just be Canada. If you don't want to be part of go to Stratford.
You have diabetes. There's no way they're going to send you.
There you go.
I got type 1. I ain't going anywhere.
There.
Yeah. By the way, what happened? Now people are turning on Stephen A. too, and the ESPN and Breen. It's pretty wild what's happening. ESPN is ruining everything. It's crazy.
I just don't, I watch all these games and everything on Xfinity, but I do not watch a lot of the halftime pregame. Stephen A.
How can you?
Stephen A. is just too much for me. I just can't do it.
I've been saying this for years. All of a sudden, people are catching up. Kurt Wisniewski, I love seeing MSU football in person. It's a great gift. Pro games today. Too often, people just getting hammered, ridiculous obscenities at the players and jailed. There's typos in here. The incident at Comerica is ridiculous and unbecoming of attending sporting events. Bonus, MSU football, 8-4.
8-4 would be people would be pretty pleased, I think, unless things go really badly against Michigan. What's the incident at Comerica? Did I miss something? What did I miss?
The Pirates reliever was he swung or jumped up to swing at a fan. I didn't hear any more details of it. I just saw a video of there was two fans interacting with one of the Pirates pitchers in the bullpen, and then he gave one of the worst jump swings ever. It wasn't going to come close to anybody. So I'm not sure what was said out there.
A lot of people complain about pro games and the drinking, everything. I've been to a million Tigers games in my life. Not a million, but you get it. A lot of Tigers games in my life. A couple Lions, 20 Lions games in my life, probably. I mean, I don't think I've ever felt unsafe, and I don't think any game I've ever been at has been Pistons games, whatever, ruined by drunkenness. Now, I've been to Michigan State football games that were ruined by drunkenness when the fucking grad students in 2000 whatever it was, 99 or whatever, puked behind me, and you had to sit around that smell forever.
Are you allowed, if someone pukes in the vicinity of you and gets some on you, are you allowed to do something? I mean, do you just have to take it and people are all pointing at you and shit? I feel like you should be able to throw a punch.
Pointing at you. I mean, people don't.
People going, oh, look at that guy got puked on, and they point.
But people don't mean to puke. I remember when the grad students in '99 puked behind us, and some got on another guy sitting near us on his coat. I felt awful for that guy.
What did he do? Just snarl?
He was not happy. Yeah, he was not happy. In defense of the guy's friends who were with him, whisked him away. They got him out of there quick. You don't.
Smart.
After you puked on people or puked in the area, you don't sit around and watch the game. You're done. You're going home. But yeah, there are lots of people at MSU can't.
And
hold their
I was
alcohol.
watching the Travelers yesterday, and a lot of these guys, I know they have microphones everywhere, so I don't know how much the golfers are actually hearing. But for the TV viewing, I'm sitting there going like, these guys are fucking douchebags. Like, and I'm going to the Rocket Classic on Friday, and I'm really intrigued to because I love people watching, so I'm going to be surveying the scene. I just think golf has gotten way wild with like people yelling stuff and all that different shit.
If you see John Daly, are you going to ask him?
Dude, John Daly's not going to be there. I'm not saying anything to any golfers unless like you can talk me into it by Thursday or something. Because what golfers should I say something to? I've thought about it. I did look at the list of golfers.
I think for Wednesday's show, we should come up with the idea of like what Jason should say.
Should I yell out "Couch in the Rube"? Like, should I stand by like
just every time?
Couch in the Rube, Rubing it, right? I don't know. I guess I could do that. I'll jump in on it. Now I'm going to become one of them now, but at least it'll be funny. I'm not going to try to
It's not a major.
Get in the hole.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
I know, but I don't want to be getting the whole guy. Like
Don't
if it's
be getting
something
the whole
funny,
guy.
like these guys, like, hey, dude, you're saying 2 sentences. You're yelling 2 sentences.
No.
It's too long.
I think if you were to throat punch somebody.
Well, now I'm punching people. I was just going to
hold
yell
on, not
something.
not you specifically. If anybody was to throat punch somebody, and you go to court because it's assault, and you go before the judge, and your entire defense was, I throat punched the get in the hole guy from a golf, you would be exonerated so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody deserves a throat punch more than get in the hole.
Because 10 out of 10 times the judge is probably a golfer. Like, I actually know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of my courtroom.
Yeah, 'cause we're all good.
Yeah. David Jackson, hot take. If Casey Mize is actually hurt, we're screwed and we'll go nowhere in the postseason. Particularly with Flaherty pitching like he's the second coming of Fernando Arroyo or Ray Bear. Google those guys. Bonus, Sophie Cunningham is the best thing to come to women's basketball since, well, forever. And Baked, I no longer recognize Central Michigan University as a legitimate institution and will not do so until we get our pound of flesh. As I told a CMU alumnus friend of more than 30 years in my farewell Facebook post to him, go fuck yourself and tell Amy Folin to do the same.
I hope you really did that, David, because first of all,
dude, he doesn't lie.
No, you're right. It's an
that
incredible,
fucking happened.
An incredible reaction.
I love David.
Oh my God, it's a friend of 30 years.
See ya.
Wow,
dude.
Wow,
got to stay true. By the way, Casey Mize, did you watch the game yesterday? Are you probably traveling back?
No, I don't.
Did you see I watched it 3 different times. I know these guys have to be babied, and I know they have all of sort of the analytics and metrics and all sorts of shit. But even Mize, like, why are you guys coming out here? I didn't see him wince or like, you know what I mean? Like,
it was just a cramping situation,
right?
Yeah.
But they came right out.
Yeah,
yanked his ass right out. I'm like,
they saw something. Yeah, they don't screw around. They don't screw around with this stuff. It was a good game. I mean, until that final inning, but it was a. The thing I like about this Tigers team, maybe more than anything else about them, and yeah, they've won a lot of games, been a lot of fun, but they don't go on prolonged losing streaks. Like, you don't, to this point, even when they're not playing well, they come up with what they did on Sunday. And it's just been, I just think that's a real.
Well, it helped that they didn't call the game in that terrible field. The Steinbrenner, that's embarrassing. I understand that the Tropicana, the roof caved in, but good God, that is an embarrassing park. Guys were getting hit in the dugout because they're fucking getting. They have to sit up in the dugout, so you're just like a sitting duck up there. I'm like, why are they playing in this? Like, Major League Baseball is a multi-billionaire, industry. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, you shouldn't have pro teams in Florida anyway. So, but. By the way, if you're trying to watch sports or you're looking for better viewing options as you start to think about football season and everything else, Comcast Xfinity is upping its game on no contract options for sports and connectivity. The new sports and TV package is available for Xfinity customers, featuring 50-plus broadcast news and sports channels, including top sporting events from every league, movies, shows, all in one place. It's available for $70 per month when combined with Xfinity Internet. Broadband network built for streaming and live sports. No contract or commitment required.
Roger Pepper L. Next. Love the show. What's the chance the Spartans look to Europe for a late addition to the basketball team? Also, who is the main shooting coach on the staff? Thanks, Roger Pepperell. Pepperell L.
Pepperell.
You don't have to leave, Roger. You don't have to put your name at the end of the tweet.
No, I usually take it out. I left it in. That's my bad.
No, I enjoyed. I'm glad you left it in.
Yeah,
it makes me happy when I do see.
Yeah,
I'm guessing Roger's an older fella. It's okay, Roger. But But we know it's your name. It's in the headline thing of your thing. You don't have to.
I think that every season should have a European guy. I just like the way European guys play basketball, European big men, European guards. I know the MSU women's basketball team puts an emphasis on recruiting Europe. I would spend a lot of time in Europe. I do not think it's Izzo's cup of tea the same way. Now, they have looked at some guys in Europe this year. I don't think any of those things came together. So, you never say never. I don't know exactly what's going on right now there in terms of that and in terms of whether they think that they're a player short now that Caleb Glenn is out or anything like that. In terms of the main shooting coach on the staff, the guy who works a lot of these guys have worked with different guys. Like Sadie Washington's worked with the guards at times in his life. Now he's worked with the big men. Thomas Kelly works with guards a lot. I don't know if they have a main shooting coach. I don't know who that is. I mean, you watch a guy like Thomas Kelly work over and over with with the guards on their shots and things like that. But I don't. That's a good question. I could ask and see if they have a guy who's like that's his thing. I'll tell you, like at Lansing Community College, Mike Ingram. One of his great specialties, the way he is a shooting coach, and guys who have played for him and gone on have said he's done great things for their shot. So there are places,
Well, does he want to swing by campus and help some guys?
They may have that too. It's an answer that I should know and will get for you, or at least
bull in a china closet.
Andrew Zuiza. We trust Brad Holmes to draft, but the jury is still out on ability to balance decisions for long-term success and recognize when to act now to win a Super Bowl. I'm not questioning him, but if something like last year happens again, we need to see a big move that says we want to win now. And bonus, my almost 2-year-old dances to the Couch and Rube intro and to Jason's intro to the intro. And when she hears Izzo say, whoa, 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 wait, she tries to mimic it. Her first word is cockburn, and she already knows the courtesy flush.
Oh.
The courtesy flush saves marriages, by the way. I'm telling you.
We're raising children, Jason, here. That's what we're doing.
Hold on. Where are you at? Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Right now, either you're stuttering or I'm not picking it up because it's a what. So
that's
cockburn.
Beautiful. That is.
Don't step on the cockburn.
Cockburn.
Yeah, that is
the kid here at Solo.
That is the best and my most favorite and entertaining take of the day presented by our friends at Xfinity.
Dude, after 2 weeks off, this show is going to be really brutal.
Oh, my God.
Thomas, it's hot in here, though.
It is smoking hot.
Anyone who wants an artificial turf at Spartan Stadium has never done anything more than walk normally on a field. That field is the best surface in the conference, and it's not even close, even when it's muddy. And bonus, I know I'm back into baseball because I'm pissed at the Rays right now.
I think a lot of people are back into baseball. With the
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's hard not to be.
It's great.
Yeah.
Treese next.
But hold on real quick before we get to Treese. Because I do think there is some. It's really interesting on the. I think Michigan State should sell this more if they're going to stick with regular grass over turf, because there are all the advancements in turf and everything. We are now discovering that grass is still better for you, right? I think that's pretty well known. In terms of injuries, I think they should recruit like crazy to this. Negatively recruit against others. That other schools don't really care. They're trying to make a buck and save a buck on your knees instead of coming here. And your concussions are more likely there. Your knees are more likely to go. We care about your physical well-being is what I would say if I were them. Like this is, ask Ohio State when you're there why they don't give a shit about you. That, negative recruiting. That's what I would do.
All right. Treese next with just this. BLTs are underrated.
Where did this come from?
That makes sense. Because on my way out, she goes, will you stop at the store and get some bacon and tomatoes? So that makes sense. I'm like, damn, she really wants a BLT. I didn't even see her question.
They are. I don't know. Are they
I like that you're like, so what's up with this question? Like she likes BLTs, I guess. They're underrated? They are delicious, though. Bacon is always delicious.
Are they underrated or properly rated?
I mean, for my wife to say it, I guess I'm going to have to say they're underrated.
Yeah.
Not many people are rating them. I don't know. Jay Riemenschneider, I love pineapple as a cold, refreshing fruit, but it's a non-starter as a pizza topping. The heat totally changes the texture to something that's not nice.
I like pizza. I like pineapple on pizza. I do.
You eat it solo?
What do you mean?
Do you eat pineapple solo without pizza?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You go to like Horrocks, you can go in there and you can take a full pineapple and it'll do the whole thing for you in a machine real quick right in front of you.
What was that? They do?
Help me on this.
What do they do? No, seriously.
It's like
at Horrocks?
Yeah, it's like a thing. You take a full pineapple and you put it in and it chops it and it carves it and it plops it in
like at
right in front of you in like 3 seconds.
There's no one watching it. You just go up to it and do it yourself, or you hand it to someone.
No, do it yourself.
Dude, I go there a lot. Like
It's pretty new. You should go. And the Horrocks on the west side of Lansing. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Is there another Horrocks?
Well, yeah. There's a Horrocks in Battle Creek. There's other Horrocks. Horrocks maybe in Grand Rapids.
No kidding.
Yeah, other Horrocks.
Sponsor. T-Bone's dad next. Number 1, there is no better post-activity beer than the post-lawn mowing beer. The post-golf round beer is solid too. Discuss amongst yourselves, as the church lady would say. And 2, early July bake take. Smurfette is the Bonnie Blue of Smurf Village. It's uncomfortable to say, but true.
I haven't watched the Smurfs in a long time.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
Might have to go tune in though if we got a Bonnie Blue situation.
Yeah. All right, the most, and you don't drink anymore, but the most refreshing time to have a drink, like to have.
I don't ever remember just waiting till the end of a golf round. Usually the beers were flowing during the 18. But I know what he's saying. Yeah. I know what T-Bone's dad's saying.
The post lawn mow is definitely one that's just to look over all your work and just stand there and it's
because I like smoking. I just replace it with a joint now, so I'll smoke a joint and look over the lawn and go, man, I actually did a good job. I followed all the lines and all that.
Yeah.
But I do know what T-Bone's dad's saying, because when you hold anything out till after the fact, especially when you do some sort of form of like physical activity, it's always great to just relax and whatever your vice is.
Feels like you've accomplished something.
Absolutely.
And you've done it with some discipline.
Before, football Sundays, when the NFL is back, that's why you like to do something in the morning so you feel like, okay, I've earned this 9 hours of sitting on the couch. Original Dark D'Antonio. Why is it every time I see Matt Sheehan, I cannot unsee Napoleon Dynamite?
I mean, I get where you're going with that. I don't see it necessarily.
You're saying that's not nice.
Well, I can see the mannerisms are a couple of. He's a much better looking guy than Napoleon Dynamite.
But you're saying he acts like him. He just
doesn't
look like him?
No, but I can see where the comparison's coming from. He doesn't act like him. He does. I mean, I've never thought that myself, for example, but when I think of Napoleon Dynamite now, and I'll have to let Matt know, and maybe Matt has heard this from other people.
I doubt it. John Naughty next. If any school had advanced scouted one game in violation of NCAA rules exactly the same way as Michigan did, that school would be facing a level 1 violation. Michigan did this 54 games. How is Michigan not facing 54 level 1 violations for advanced scouting? 54 level 1 violations warrant a multi-year death penalty.
John is a smart guy, and the guy who knows the law. So I do not think. I'm still very curious to see what the NCAA does, because I think this is the NCAA's last stand with Michigan. And it's not even that I agree that they need 54 level 1 violations and the multi-year death penalty, but I do think if they don't do something significant here in the penalty phase, that they lose all their teeth and everybody's just going to say, well, fuck off.
Shep next. Graham, please rank your expectations on Michigan's cheating scandal punishment on the following scale. Number 1, a whole bottle of scented KY, nice and gentle. Feels good. 2, bite the pillow. The NCAA is going in dry. 3, mistakenly used 10-year-old treadmill lube. Seems good at first, but later, help me, it burns.
In terms of the punishment, how it'll feel if you're like an MSU fan, Shep, or how it'll feel for Michigan, I think it'll be more bite the pillow. The NCAA is going in dry. That's where we're looking at.
Max. Max is next. The new era of NIL could be a boon for a school like Oakland with no football team to support. All of their money could go to basketball. One billionaire. They must have one, and $20 million a year would buy a nice veteran team. No need to recruit high school players. Just go after underpaid Power 4 guys. Greg Kampe could finally get in his first win over Izzo and retire.
Any place could have this. I'm surprised we haven't seen it somewhere yet where, like Western Michigan has, big time donors who are, if somebody there just said, without return on investment other than major winning, I want to be the one who's paying $10 million a year for this school. Then they could have a team that won the MAC every year and competed in the Big Ten every year. That, we just haven't seen that. We've seen places like High Point have all of a sudden go from a low major to having 3 times the NIL money of most mid-majors and make the NCAA tournament because of it. But, there aren't as many billionaires out there in the world as you might think.
Scott, you next. Number one, next year's World Cup should have games played at the Rose Bowl. It needs more stadiums where the fans can pack out the stadium and not have all these insanely high-priced corporate suites and sections that take away from the environment of the game and soccer fans. And 2, River Plate and Boca Junior fans are amazing. So cool to watch them support their teams against the European powers.
The Rose Bowl is amazing. I was watching a game there the other day on Xfinity on TBS, and it just reminds you, like, it doesn't have to be a great college football game, whatever. That setting when they cut in from the blimp shot or whatever it is, San Gabriel Mountains, the crowd there, it is, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure BYU would argue that, they've got some incredible places, and there are places with really cool surroundings around the world. But the Rose Bowl remains one of the best, and I would watch just about any event in the Rose Bowl just because I think you feel it from just about every angle.
Huh? Big John Hogg next. Missed you, Graham. I didn't know what soccer picks to fade, and Rube wasn't giving anything out. Hope you completed your quest of finding the Edmund Fitzgerald. And bonus, Casey Mize might be a China doll. Do the Tigers need another starting or a big bat? Glad the Tampa series is in the rear view.
You know what so I don't know if the Edmund Fitzgerald, do you know the Edmund Fitzgerald joke with John U. Bacon, what happened to him?
No.
So he's written a book on the Edmund Fitzgerald. And
oh man, I gotta
he was like on a huge
turner.
He was on a huge deadline for that book right when I think it was this cheating scandal, certain things first broke. And he wasn't very responsive, and people thought it was just him being a homer, but he was like on a deadline for the Edmund Fitzgerald book, which can happen. So I would say the Tigers should get another bat first, but I don't
know. Trust Flaherty, huh?
I don't know if I trust any of it right there. But as long as they have Scooble at the top, I don't mind the pitching chaos behind them. That's what I guess I mean.
Yeah, but if you're going, are we talking playoffs yet, or we still have to wait? Because I'm saying we get in a playoff series.
Yeah, they can need one more.
Is Scooble going to pitch 3 times in a series?
Well,
No.
Do they get? Where else are they from a health standpoint? Who else do they get back? Who comes up? They probably do need to trade for a pitcher too.
Andy Welch next, having more niche sports to follow beyond the biggest leagues is underratedly awesome. Golf and racing, IndyCar, and IMSA sports cars have taken up way more of my time and energy this year, and it's been really satisfying.
If you can find things like that, it always helps. Like for me, finding soccer in my 40s or about the time I turned 40 was amazing because, I played soccer in high school. I've liked soccer for a long time, but basically the season goes from mid-August to the end of May. I've only got to put up, it's like 2.5 months a year I don't have it. Imagine if, Jason, if you had that for the Lions. You know what I mean? Like, that's the great thing. If you can find things to occupy these windows of time.
What would it mean as much, though, if we didn't have the gap? Like, I'm down, believe me, because when I see these, 90 days until the season starts, and I'm like, oh, my, that sounds like 9 years.
Oh, I'm ready.
2 months, I get it, but, man.
Oh, I'm ready. Yeah.
I love golf.
When it comes back mid-August, though, the first Saturday of the Premier League, it feels like it's been away for years.
As bad as golf takes away from my bankroll, it does slow me down from betting on other things because golf is a 4-day kind of thing, and it's a fun grind for me. Expo 67 next. Should do a simulcast with your buddy Tim Stout.
What would that sound like here?
Okay. I'd have to do my due diligence on that first. I don't know these guys. I did work with Jason the Rube. I think that's what you call him. It's a fitting name. Like, what would we talk about?
I don't know.
Stout's not fun on the air. Like, if you're off the air away from a microphone, he was hilarious. But, on the air, it's like...
Well, it would be really interesting if Stout's callers had to call in here.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
We'd have to do a you pick 'em. No thanks. PTSD. Couch on Fire next. Hope you had a nice break. The Tigers have cooled off in June as Carpenter and Meadows, and the pitching mostly in deep slumps. What do we seek at the trading deadline? Pitching or a right-hand hitter? And Jason, Poor Fleetwood still can't get a PGA win after another lost chance. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal, but the guy just constantly finished. He makes cuts and finishes top 10, and he still won like $1 million yesterday. So, but I mean, I give the guy credit for talking after that. Like, yeah. Because I know that we were off for 2 weeks, but I don't know if you saw Rory after Oakmont. I've never seen a guy do a 180 like Rory has of like, now he doesn't look like he's enjoying anything. And it's so wild to me. And for Fleetwood, with all the cameras and everything on him, everybody's so excited for him to get his first victory and to talk after that. I mean, I love Tommy Fleetwood. So I hope he wins something soon.
I have a ton of respect for athletes, for people who just face the cameras in moments of adversity. It really, it's.
But I can also agree with a guy like Rory, what he's saying, because those golfers give so much.
And I'm not saying
there's cameras in their face all the time.
Yeah, Rory was the face. He was the guy, who was sticking up for the PGA and kind of got screwed by that. Like he was. I'm not mad at Rory. I think Rory's just tired. He's fatigued. I'm not sure Rory's.
Yeah, but it's just weird. In January, I'm like, wow, this guy's a great ambassador for the game, and it just seems he won the Masters and goes, wow, I got the Grand Slam. I'm out of here. Like, fuck this golf thing. He just seems like he's so disinterested in it. And it's just wild to me. I figure you're playing with house money. You've did the thing. No one's looking at you to win the Masters anymore. You've won everything. You can go out there and just fly it out there. And, I don't know. In Oakmont, he looked terrible. Hans Jurgen, next. Number 1, I finally ordered MLB TV, and the Tigers start playing 500 baseball. Why does God hate me? 2, Jason would love Tires, starring Shane Gillis on Netflix. Graham is too woke to enjoy. And 3, don't like this heat, Graham? Go soak your head in Lake Lansing. I kid, Graham. I kid because I love.
By the way, if you're not in the, this market, MLB TV on Xfinity is well worth it to keep tabs on the Tigers. I think it's a good investment. I think they do some nice stuff on MLB
I would
TV.
say wait till they usually have a sale, because I get it. I have it all season, but I noticed that around Father's Day they do dip it to $59, I think. So if you wanted to wait till this time next year, I might do that. I don't know, because the Tigers are good. I do like to have baseball on the second TV. But Jake Hawkins next. Number 1. Great win by the Tigers to avoid a 4-game losing streak. The previous 2 games against the Rays were brutal. Scott Harris better make additions at the trade deadline. We need another hitter, starting pitcher, and reliever. I also knew the NBA Finals would go to 7 games. All right, Jake. Dude, Graham, you didn't answer a Twitter question of mine about the retro TV show Homicide, Life on the Street. Which character on the show do you think you best relate to, and which character on there would you want to be detective partners with? And 3, they're remaking a new version of I Know What You Did Last Summer. What the proverbial fuck? I remember when the original one came out in 97. Guess that's when you know you're getting old. I know it blows. Also, Graham, I know you were on vacation, but where was the emergency column on Caleb Glenn? That's a great point.
I
Good
apologize.
point, Hawk.
Yeah. I don't know who I would be. Would I be, Andre Brower's character, Frank? Tim Bayless?
Skip Bayless?
Tim Bayless was one of the Homicide characters. Maybe Munch, which is played by the great late Richard Belzer. I don't know who I most relate to. I'll tell you what, Clark Johnson, the actor who's also in The Wire, is the newspaper editor in season 5 who played Meldrick in Homicide. That's my guy. That would be my guy. Really.
You're currently looking at it, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, I have no idea. Then you just rattled off exactly who you do.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, from the Upper Deck Jerk Guy, the fact that a consulting firm is in charge of reviewing NIL contracts shows that we're nowhere close to solving the college athletics issue. And bonus, we have more bacteria cells than human cells in our bodies. Germaphobes are ridiculous.
Well, then count me as ridiculous. Not
but are you like a crazy germaphobe? You're not like OCD. Like
I'm in the middle.
I'm kind of with you. I'm not like, I know what you're saying. There's some things where I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I always I open the bottom of door. I open doors where I think other people aren't grabbing as often. If that makes sense. Really good pianist. Yeah. We appreciate all of you hanging with us. This is not our cleanest show.
Oh, man.
We're a little bumpy.
It's hot in here, though.
Yeah, I'm sweating. It's It's been a minute. We'll get better again, and we'll be back. I think we're going to do 2 more shows this week, maybe a Wednesday and I think a Thursday, early Thursday. Groovy Donuts question show because we are going to because Jason is going to the golf on Friday. So, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for producing our show. We appreciate Comcast and Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com. Find the plan for you today. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company as well. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch of the Roof.